Woo! What's up, everybody? In this video, we're going to be covering all of the high-yield essentials when it comes to organelles and compartmentalization. Now, if you feel like you're a victim of IB biology, you feel like they're sending toxins specifically your way, degrading your precious brain, then I suggest you head over to, guess what, teachmebio.org. And get access to all of our premium resources, beautiful, sexy study notes, our masterclass lectures, and tons of IB-style questions. TeachMeBio.org will shield you, protect you, and these toxins will feel like a drizzle of rainbow Skittles instead. Now, without further ado, let's just get started with this video. Now, as you probably already know, all living organisms are made up of cells, and we can classify these living organisms into one of two categories depending on what type of cell they're made of. So, for example, eukaryotic organisms, like me and you in the tree outside, we're made up of eukaryotic cells, like animal cells or plant cells. Whereas the other category, those are prokaryotic organisms, and they're made up of prokaryotic cells. And the example you should know are bacteria. Now, as you may be aware already, you guys learned all about eukaryotic and prokaryotic cells in A2.2. In this video, we're specifically going to focus on one specific aspect called compartmentalization. Now, what we're going to do next is we're going to zoom into these bad boys up close because bigger is always better, am I right? Here we have our eukaryotic cell up close, and here we have our prokaryotic cell up close. Now, what we need to do first is define this very word organelle because guess what? It's the title of this very video. We better do it. So what in the heck is an organelle? An organelle is a functionally and structurally distinct part of a cell. Okay, so how the heck do we define it in normal English? Basically, an organelle is a part of the cell that has its own specific job, its own specific function. So if we take a eukaryotic cell here, this right here, the mitochondria, is an organelle because it has its own specific job of making ATP or cell money. The ribosome is an organelle. It has its own specific job of making proteins. The nucleus is the whole purpose of the nucleus is to store your DNA, right? So we have so many of these different organelles that have their own specific function. And the same goes for prokaryotic cells, right? Look, a ribosome to make proteins, a flagella to swim around. This area for excess DNA, the main area, the nucleoid region for storing the main piece of DNA. So both prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells have these guys, organelles, right? Now, what's the big thing we need to differentiate between these two? Let me show you. For eukaryotic cells, you'll notice that some of the organelles, like the ribosome, does not have a membrane surrounding it. It is naked, totally naked there in the cytoplasm. Other organelles, like the Golgi, like the roughy R, the smoothie R, the lysosome, the vacuoles, they have a single membrane surrounding them. So there are some things inside there confined by a single layer of membrane. Now, other organelles like mitochondria, nucleus, chloroplast, they in fact have a double membrane surrounding them. That's very important. Please remember this idea because this is the stark difference between eukaryotic and prokaryotic cells. Prokaryotic cells, you'll notice the organelles don't have a membrane surrounding them ever. Most of the reactions, in fact, all of the reactions are mixed and jumbled together here in the cytoplasm, right? So they are not isolated and confined and compartmentalized into different compartments and different rooms like eukaryotic cells are. Remember this idea. So this idea of having these different compartments, these different rooms isolated from each other because of these membranes, this is called compartmentalization. And you need to know that eukaryotic cells have compartmentalization, but prokaryotic cells do not. Please remember this. It's so critical. That's one of the main things you need to take away from this video. Now, the next question is, this begs the next question, what is the point of compartmentalization? Now, in short, we just say enhances cell efficiency. Compartmentalization makes eukaryotic cells more efficient than prokaryotic cells. Now, how do I explain that? Basically, there are two reasons. Number one, molecules are closer together. For example, the mitochondria here, its job is to make ATP, and to do that, it requires certain tools, certain resources to carry out that process. Now, you can imagine if all of these tools and resources were spread all over the darn cell, it would take forever. It would almost be impossible for them to come together, react, and make the final product. So, by isolating them to a specific compartment, now they are close together, and the reactions can happen far faster and far more efficiently. Now, reason number two is preventing interference. There are other molecules in the cell that are dangerous or going to interfere with this process. And by excluding those dangerous molecules or unrelated molecules, now they will not interfere with the efficiency of this process. So that's very important. That's the two reasons I want you to know. Now, next we need to use the nucleus as an example to illustrate compartmentalization. So number one, the nucleus is important to be compartmentalized because this way the DNA, our instruction manual, is protected from the rest of the cell. Other components of the cell can cause damage or influence our DNA if this is not the case. Now, the second reason is to separate different processes. Remember that your DNA codes for your body's proteins. So for example, if we have our brain here and he's bleeding, he needs a protein to help him stop this bleeding so he doesn't die. What your cell is going to do, it's going to go ahead and find that piece of your DNA that codes for this specific protein, and it's going to go ahead and copy this specific piece of your DNA. And then it's going to go ahead and modify this specific copy to make it into the final product that it needs to be. It's going to modify it a little bit. Then after it's modified and it's ready, it will go ahead and send it out into the cytoplasm towards a little ribosome, because the ribosome will go ahead and read this modified copy and make the protein that it's coding for, the protein that we need right now. Now, this process of copying our original piece of DNA is called transcription, and the process of reading this final modified copy and making the protein that it's asking for, that is called translation. Now, transcription and translation is a complicated process that you will learn about in a separate chapter in IB biology. So for now, just understand the big picture here. So what I want you to know from this is it was very important that transcription all the way up until the modification, this process was isolated to the nucleus. That is very important because take a look at what happens if there was no nuclear membrane and transcription was not separated from translation here in the cytoplasm. Let me show you. Obviously, in this case, the normal case where everything is fine and there is compartmentalization, our little brain will be all right. Now let's look at the other situation. If there's no nuclear membrane and there's no compartmentalization, when we carry out transcription to make this copy, now guess what? We are in the cell. We are not separated from the rest of the cell. So now immediately the ribosome will latch onto this copy and make the protein that it's asking for before we were able to modify it, before we were able to modify it properly into its final form. That means we're going to make the wrong protein because we are not reading the modified copy, the final copy. We are reading the initial copy, which is bad. So now we're going to make the wrong protein and our brain will never recover. All right, the next example we need to know involves the cytoplasm. This is the region outside of the nucleus, this whole space. And the example we're going to use is this organelle here called the lysosome. You need to know that the lysosome, if we slice it open, we will see a bunch of very dangerous molecules, a bunch of very dangerous ones. And their whole job is to destroy things. Now, why is this useful? Well, when things get old in the cell, old and damaged, like old organelles, old molecules, this area will serve as the trash can to go ahead and break it down and recycle them so we can use the components again. Now, why is compartmentalization so important here? Imagine if these guys, these dangerous molecules, were allowed to be anywhere, then we would just simply destroy our cell at any given moment. So just know that the lysosome contains very destructive enzymes, and compartmentalization ensures that they remain right here and they can only be used when they are meant to be used, not at any given moment. Alright guys, that is it for this video. I really hope it was useful. I really hope we got something into your big brains, and we will see you guys in the next one.